Yo, what's going on, everybody? B Woody here, man. Excited to welcome you back to another episode of Sports from the Cave, the show that gives you a whole lot of sports and a few tips along the way. Last week, we started our series, Every Division in the Cave, and I successfully took y'all through the AFC East and the NFC East. Great episode. Go check it out when you got time. It's up on my page right now. But this week, we got the two toughest divisions in the NFL. I'm talking the AFC North and the NFC North, all right? And as I break this stuff down and go through the teams, you're going to figure out why. These are the two toughest divisions in the NFL, all right? So stick with me. If I haven't gotten to your team, I'm getting to it, I promise. But this week, we got the AFC North and the NFC North, all right? So stick with me. Y'all want to stay tuned. We got a great episode coming up for y'all. I'm super excited. Let's get it rolling. All right, y'all, we jumping right into it. But before we do, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the pod, man. I really, really appreciate it. You can go over to my TikTok page at Sports from the Cave. Follow me there. Go over to my Instagram at Sports from the Cave. Follow me there. I appreciate all the love and all the support, all right? So hit like, subscribe to the pod, share this video with somebody, man. I really, really appreciate it, all right? Let's get to it. So we starting off with the NFC North, right? And this division, yo, I'm telling y'all, bro, like, these divisions are stacked, right? And even some of the teams that you would think are bad are getting better. So let's get into it. NFC North, we're starting with the Chicago Bears. So some key additions for the Chicago Bears. First one being new head coach, Ben Johnson, right? Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator over in Detroit last year. They hired him, and he's been making a lot of changes, right? So they brought in quite a bit of help. You got Joe Tooney, offensive lineman. He was got traded from the Chiefs for a 4th-round pick. Drew Dalman, who's a center that came from the Falcons. You got Jonah Jackson, who's a guard from the Rams that they traded a 6th-round pick for. They picked up Grady Jarrett, who was released by the Falcons. They picked up Case Keenum as a backup quarterback. They drafted Luther Burden. Huge pickup. He was kind of slept on. I like Luther Burden. I watched him play. He came from Missouri. Fast guy, great hands, strong, like real strong hands. Great pickup for them. They also drafted Colton Loveland in the 1st round, tight end. And I hadn't watched much of his tape, but I went and looked at some highlights. Great pass catching tight end, like great hands, like got hands like a wide receiver. Like this dude he's fast. He plays like a receiver, like I said. Great pickup for them. And they're gonna pair him with Cole Kmet. They still got Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet, another great tight end, solid. Always a great pickup in fantasy. I've been giving y'all tips for that. Always a great pickup. But they're going to pair the two together. They're going to play a lot together, I heard. So, huge pickups, right? Not a ton of departures. One of the key ones, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is one of my favorite receivers in the NFL. Like, one of my absolute favorites, and we'll get to him later because he signed with the Chargers. So, we'll get to him later. But one of the key departures, Keenan Allen. All right, so for the Bears, a lot of things have to come together for the Bears. They headed in the right direction. They are, because I watched them in the preseason. They definitely are headed in the right direction, but there's a lot of things that have to come together because new head coach, new regime, new offense, new defense, like new players coming in. It's a lot of new. It's a whole lot of new. But a lot of things got to change because last year, Caleb Williams, it was rough. It was rough, bro. He got sacked 68 times last year. That doesn't even count the times he got hit or forced out the pocket or 68 times he was on the ground. That has to change immediately. Like, that's number one. This dude cannot be getting hit that much. He can't be taking this many sacks. Part of that's on him. Part of it is on him because you got to get the ball out. But part of it is the offensive play calls. Like, they asked Caleb to do too much. I'm just going to be honest. They asked him to do too much. Now, he came out of college making all these plays with his feet, extending plays, all this stuff. That's excellent. But in the NFL, you got to get rid of that ball, and you do not have a whole lot of time. So if the offense ain't set up for you to get the ball out your hands, if dudes ain't getting open, you're going to have a hard time in the NFL. And that's exactly what Caleb went through last year. So that's number one that's got to change. Offense, they had good moments, but overall, it wasn't very good. Defensively, they finished 12th overall, and they were 3rd in the league in turnovers, which is pretty wild. So they had a pretty solid defense, but it was the offense that was the issue, man. They couldn't finish games. They were in a lot of close games, like a ton of like. I feel like majority of their games were within a score, and they just couldn't get it done. They got to run the ball better. I think they ran the ball. They were 25th in rushing. So young quarterback, got two great tight ends. That's a quarterback's best friend. Young quarterback's best friend. Other best friend for a young quarterback, the running game. So they got to run the ball better. DeAndre Swift is their starter. And he was with Ben Johnson in Detroit in 2022. So two got a good relationship. He got to figure out how to get him going. DeAndre Swift, speed guy. He can run through the tackles, though. Another sneaky pick for your fantasy league in the later rounds, giving out game. But yeah, they gotta run the ball because take the pressure off of Caleb, man, so he don't have to run and dance so much. I love the fact that he can do that, but he shouldn't be doing it every play. That's the issue. He shouldn't have to do that every play. So they retain most of their defensive guys. They got DJ Moore. They got the two tight ends. Luther Burden added to it. They got Rome Odunze, who got to step up and get to the next level. DJ Moore really carried him last year, but Rome Odunze, I'm expecting a big year out of him. So if Ben Johnson, they can get that Ben Johnson offense down, which I heard is pretty complicated. So he's been putting a lot on Caleb Williams. But he played pretty well in that preseason game. He played in the second preseason game, and he looked pretty good on that drive. He did. He was getting the ball out of his hands. Receivers were open. They were moving the ball down the field pretty good. So if they can get this complicated offense together, the Bears could have a pretty decent season. They may be one of the teams to watch to have a pretty decent season for sure. But it's going to take a lot of the pieces to come together, though. All right, so moving on. The Green Bay Packers, and this is one of my favorite teams to watch. I'm not going to lie. I like Matt LaFleur out there, the head coach out there. But let's get into it. Key additions. They picked up Mecole Hardman. He bounced around the past couple of years, too. But they picked up Mecole Hardman. They picked up Aaron Banks, who was a guard. He came from San Francisco. Nate Hobbs, cornerback, who was with the Raiders. And they drafted Matthew Golden out of Texas. Super fast guy. I watched him a lot last year. Fast guy, great hands. Could take the top off the defense. So that was a big pickup for them. Key departures. They lost A.J. Dillon to Philly. A.J. Dillon was a running back. And they lost Josh Myers, their center. So two big losses in departures. But I'll say this. Packers got a lot of potential. They do. And they did last year too. But with the changes that they made, or the slight changes that they made, they got a lot of potential. Like they could be sneaky good. Like, and I don't even know if you can say it's sneaky because they got a young core of receivers out there. The biggest thing for them, drops. They got to stop dropping the ball. It ain't helping. It's not helping at all. They have to stop dropping the ball. That is the biggest piece. Because Jordan Love he's better, way better than what I thought he would be. And it's one of those things where you look at it and it's like, he sat behind Aaron Rodgers for some years. They didn't throw him to the Wolves. He had time to get himself ready, get the mental part of the game down. So Jordan Love, he got potential to be top 10 quarterbacks in the league, just being real. Like he has that type of ceiling because he can sling it. But receivers got to stop dropping the ball, and Jordan Love tends to force a little bit. He got to stop forcing the ball so much. Sometimes just take off and run, get what you can get. Stop forcing it into double, triple coverage. He tends to do that a little bit. So he was hurt a lot last year. Didn't play a ton. I had him on my fantasy team last year, but another good sneaky fantasy pickup. Just telling y'all. But yeah, he spent a lot of time hurt last year. But when he wasn't hurt, he was slinging that thing. Like he had a couple 30-point games for me, got me through. So Jordan Love, I'm definitely looking for him to take it to the next level for sure. I think the biggest questions with them might be defense. They lost Jair Alexander, but they still got some dogs out there. They do. They still got some dogs out there, but I think if I had to pick a weak spot for them, it's definitely not D-line. It's definitely not with Rashawn Gary and that D-line. Like, them dudes are physical, and they will run you over. So it's not D-line. If I think if I had to pick, because they lost Jair Alexander, who at one point, when he's healthy, could be one of the best corners in the league. I think the secondary would be the weak spot. But even them, they got plenty of dudes out there. So I think if they can Stay tight on defense. Stay tough on defense. Catch the ball. That's the key. Catch the ball. Because that young core, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watkins, Devontae Wicks, who kind of flashed last year. They added Matthew Golden. They got Jaden Reed. Like, they got some, like, that core, that receiving core is great. So, 2 keys for them. Stop dropping passes. Play tight on defense. Because really, if they can score points, they don't have to be number 1 in defense. Like, you need that your defense to get stops when you absolutely need it in the NFL. Because points are going to be scored in the NFL nowadays. It's set up for that. You can't touch the receivers but so much. They're going to call pass interference on you every time. Like, it's set up to score a lot of points. But we need you to get one good stop at a key moment in the game. And you got the offense to do it. So, like I said, 2 key things. Stay tough on defense. Stop dropping the ball. Green Bay Packers are going to have a good season. Like, I honestly think they're going to win it. They're going to win 12 games. I can see that for sure. So they're going to definitely be a tough team. Are you a dad? Yeah, me too. I just became a dad here recently, and what I found is that although it's tough, it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And you know who celebrates that? Dad gang. And they don't celebrate us because we tightened some screws somewhere, or we changed the tire, or we took the trash out, or we cut the grass. They celebrate us because we're doing what great dads do every day, and we're taking care of our families. So what you can do is use my code right here or go to the link in my description. Head on over to dadgang.com and shop all of their quality products, man. They got a bunch of different hats. They're even adding a ton of shirts to their collection, which are really, really nice. So don't miss out. Click the link in the description or use the code right here. Get you 15% off your entire purchase at dadgang.com. All right? And don't forget, don't let anybody take your seat. Shop Dad Gang, man. You won't be disappointed. All right, y'all, moving on. We going up to Minnesota to talk to Minnesota Vikings, bro. Tough team, man. I'm telling y'all, this is why I said this. These are the 2 toughest divisions in the NFL because these games, these in-division games, going to be must-watch TV, bro. I'm telling you. So let's talk about it. Minnesota Vikings. Key additions, Jonathan Allen, D-tackle from the Commanders, who they picked up. Javon Hargrove, another D-tackle that came from the 49ers. Will Fries, a guard that came from the Colts. We got Rondale Moore, who just went down with another knee injury for the 2nd year in a row. I feel so bad for him, bro. So shout out to Rondale. Get well soon, man. They re-signed Byron Murphy Jr., the starting quarterback. They re-signed Aaron Jones, running back, sneaky pickup in fantasy. I'm telling you, keep your eyes open for him in the later rounds. They also picked up Ryan Kelly, center, who came from the Colts, right? Key departures. The biggest one, Sam Darnold, man. I couldn't have guessed that Sam Darnold was going to have that type of year. He wasn't even supposed to start. Like, he wasn't even supposed to start. It was supposed to be J.J. McCarthy's team. Only reason he started is because J.J. McCarthy got hurt. But huge year for Sam. Ended up signing with the Seahawks. But we'll get to that later. And they lost Cameron Bynum, who's a safety on the defense, right? Vikings, one hell of a year last year. Couldn't have guessed it. Finished 14-3. Lost in the playoffs. Kind of fell apart. Sam Darnold kind of fell apart toward the end there, but played well enough to get him a contract. They almost won the division. Came down to the last game. It was them and the Lions, the last game of the season. And the Lions end up taking it. But like I said, hell of a season. They let Sam Darnold walk in free agency. So it's J.J. McCarthy's team now. J.J. McCarthy got some big shoes to fill for sure. But if anybody can have him ready, it's Kevin O'Connell, the quarterback whisperer. I feel like he going to be in quarterback rehab for sure. Like Daniel Jones was out there. Now, there was some news the other day. Daniel Jones is starting. We're going to get to that too later on, right? But yeah, Kevin O'Connell is the quarterback whisperer for sure. So he'll definitely have J.J. McCarthy ready. J.J. was hurt last year, like I said. But what I've been seeing, I like the movement. He's a better runner than I thought. And he can throw on the run. Like, he threw a dot to Jordan Addison in the second preseason game. Low and away. Only Jordan Addison can get it. Great throw, bro. Like, great. So I like what I see from JJ. I didn't know his arm was that good. But defensively, they got a stingy defense out there, man, for sure. And they kept most of the guys, too. Jonathan Grenard, who came from Florida. That's my guy. Linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Had a great year last year. He had a couple of big interceptions and big moments. They still got the old man back there in Harrison Smith. He will come down and knock your head off. Don't have no problem with it. He's been like that his whole career. He's still playing out there in the back. And they finished, fifth in points allowed, and they finished second in rushing yards allowed. So, stingy defense out there. Most of the guys will be back. Defense should be great. Now, let's move over to the offensive side. They got the best receiver in the league, arguably the best receiver in the league, in Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison came along great last year. Like, that's definitely what they need with not JJ. I can't say JJ because I could be talking JJ McCarthy, but with Justin Jefferson playing so well on the other side, your second receiver, he got to be a dog. And Jordan Addison definitely showed up last year and definitely became a go-to player for sure. And he's got to be because Justin Jefferson going to draw a ton of attention, so you got to get open. But he's going to miss 3 games. So when you're drafting your fantasy team, think about that. Jordan Addison is going to miss 3 games. He had a DUI incident. He got suspended 3 games by the NFL. So, like I said, when you're picking, remember that. But I feel like if they can run the ball well, lean on Aaron Jones, which they did last year, he can get it done. I had him on my fantasy team. He can definitely get it done. If they lean on Aaron Jones, let J.J. McCarthy get out on the edges and make throws, I think they're going to be fine. Because I like what I see from J.J. McCarthy already. So he'll build confidence as the season goes on, too, as he makes more throws, as they win some games. His confidence will build up. And the Vikings, they ain't going to be a nobody to sleep on, I'll tell you that. Just because they got a new quarterback situation, all that stuff, don't sleep on the Vikings, all right? Moving on. And this might be my favorite team in this division because I love a comeback story, bro. We talking the Detroit Lions, right? Man, the turnaround for Detroit, insane. Dan Campbell went out there and took a bad team, infused some culture, a winning culture, bro. Like, and the turnaround is insane. Like, it's wild. So let's get into it. Key additions. They mostly added D-line depth and O-line depth and corner depth, right? And these are the spots where they got hit the hardest last year. At one point, the Lions they were down to their 3rd and 4th string guys. Like, it was crazy. Going into that last game of the season, it was some wild number that they had on injury reserve, bro, which affected them in the playoffs for sure. But we'll get to that in a minute, right? So, key departures. Carlton Davis, corner. Zadarius Smith, D tackle. Josh Reynolds, receiver. Frank Ragnow, they lost their starting center. And they lost 2 coordinators, right? The offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, he went to the Bears. Defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, he got the head coaching job with the Jets. So, some big losses there, some key losses there for sure. But like I said, Lions had a great season last year. They won 15 games. Of course, led by Jared Goff, who, man, like, it's like the Rams tried to send him to the Detroit and leave him for dead, but Jared Goff said, nah, bro. Hand came through the dirt. Bow. But yeah, Jared Goff been playing excellent, man. Definitely one of the top 10 in the league for sure. They lost in the playoffs last year to the Commanders. Couldn't have seen that coming at all. But like I said, it was kind of a shock. I honestly think they just kind of ran out of gas. They ran out of players at the end of the day. Like I said, they had a ton of injuries, and they had a lot of guys coming back at the last minute, and it just didn't work out, right? So going into this season, continue with last season. Their biggest injury was Aiden Hutchinson. He fractured his tibia and his fibia. Nasty injury, right? But he's already been cleared, right? He's already been cleared to play, so he'll be back. Like I said, they were down to their 3rd and 4th players, especially in the secondary. So it's almost like a fresh start this season because they didn't lose a ton of guys, right? They lost some guys, but like they definitely replaced them. So defensively, Aiden Hutchinson will be back. That's their DN. I'm glad he's back because they really, really need that pressure off the edge. They added depth. They added DJ Reed, who came from the Jets at corner. I really like DJ Reed, and I was hoping the Jets would keep him, but and they also have new defensive coordinator, Kelvin Shepard. He was the linebackers coach last year. So he's familiar with the team already. So defense shouldn't change too much. And then offensively, it all starts with Jared Goff. End of the day. And they got weapons everywhere, bro. Everywhere you look, they got weapons. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, the two running backs, the Thunder and Lightning. They still got Sam Laporta at tight end. And they got a great offensive line, man. So you're going to get a heavy dose of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I'm talking about a heavy dose. But then they're going to run that play action, and they're going to get that ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're going to get the ball to James Williamson over the top, Sam Laporta over the middle. It's nasty, bro. Like, it's nasty. And I really, really like the Lions, man, because they have that same gritty mentality that their coach has, Dan Campbell. They buying what he's selling for sure. Dan Campbell, you could tell by his voice, like, that he's a leader of men, bro. He got that deep, raspy voice, bro. Like, when he talk, they listen, bro. And they got this team has that same gritty attitude that he has. So they set up for another great year. It wouldn't surprise me if they won another 13, 14 games. That would not surprise me at all. I think the biggest thing for them is the chemistry, right? Losing your defensive coordinator and your offensive coordinator is tough, bro. It's tough. So don't be surprised if you see them maybe drop some games because of they just haven't got that rhythm yet. You know, Ben Johnson and Jared Goff, same page, right? Aaron Glenn with that defense, same page. So don't be surprised if you see them maybe drop some games just because they haven't gelled all the way yet. So who wins this division? This one is really, really hard, bro. And I say that because at first I wrote down the Green Bay Packers. That was the first thing I wrote down because I was like, okay, maybe because of the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator leaving in Detroit, they may drop a couple games and leave the door open for the Packers. But then I went back and thought about it again, man. I can't pick against the Lions, bro. Like, and maybe I'm picking with my heart because I love a comeback story. But the Detroit Lions, I'm picking them to win the division again, bro. Now, it ain't going to be easy. It is not going to be easy, bro, because these other three teams, they on the way. I'm telling you, bro. Like, I can see this one coming down to the last game like it did last year between the Lions and the Vikings. So, keep your eyes on the NFC North for sure because it's gonna be a great one to watch. But I'm picking the Lions to win the division, all right? Switching gears. We're going over to the AFC North now, all right? And we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to start by saying this. The Cleveland Browns are an absolute mess, bro. Like, I don't even know how else to put it, bro. The Cleveland Browns are a mess. And they have issues at the worst position to have issues at in the NFL, and that's quarterback. You can get over issues at every other position. Like, you can almost work your way through it. But quarterback is the hardest one to have problems at, bro. And that's exactly where they have problems. I'm not even getting into key additions and departures with this. I'm just going to get right to it. They went into camp, 6 quarterbacks on the roster, right? Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, and they picked up Tyler Huntley because a couple of the quarterbacks had some injuries. And not to mention, they still have Deshaun Watson on the books. So 6 quarterbacks, right? Deshaun Watson still rehabbing from the second Achilles tear. He tore the Achilles, was rehabbing. Something happened. He tore the Achilles again. How you do that, I don't know. I saw him on Instagram with his, at the time, girlfriend. They out in the woods. He walking on rocks and stuff. He ain't got no boot on. That wouldn't surprise me if he did it when he was out there, bro. But he's still rehabbing from the second Achilles tear. Nobody has any idea when this man is going to be back. No clue. But they owe him $46 million next year because they gave him a $230 million contract guaranteed. $46 million for a dude that's not going to play, and he didn't play last year either, bro. And like I said, nobody has any clue when this man is going to be back. I'm looking all on the internet trying to find an article to say timetable something. Nobody knows anything. And who knows if he's going to come back this year, unless it's some miraculous act of God. Who knows? But the question that leaves is if he does somehow come back this year, What do you do with him, bro? What? Okay, let me slow down before I get into that. I'm going to make it make sense. They just named Joe Flacco as the starter, right? Joe Flacco is 40 years old. We've seen some over the last couple of years, Joe Flacco turn his hand back a little bit. He's slinging the ball really good. Like, even with the Browns, he was with the Browns a couple of years ago. He played with the Colts last year. We've seen him turn hands back a little bit, but he's 40, bro. He's 40. He doesn't move in the pocket like he used to, so he's almost like a sitting duck. So your offensive line better be top tier A1, right, to keep this man off the ground. My thought is that he's not going to make it through the season. Whether that be, and I hope this is not it, but injury. Whether that be he's just not playing well enough. I don't think he makes it through the season. Now, that leaves, if he's not going to play, who do you go to? My opinion on this, you go to Shedeur Sanders, bro. You go to Shedeur. Like, it's a no-brainer. And I don't like the way the Browns owner came out and was talking about, I didn't have anything to do with the pick. Like, and I don't know if he meant this or not, but the way you're making it sound is like, you didn't want Shedeur, bro. Like, you making it sound like that. And, like, this is a player on your team. They picked him up. Like, back the dude up. Like, he dropped to everybody knows he dropped to the 5th round, which I don't understand at all because he was graded first-round talent. He clearly has first-round talent. He can make all the throws. He got a pretty strong arm. Not the most athletic dude, but he can make moves in the pocket. Like, I don't get it, bro. I don't know why he wasn't picked in the first round, but he dropped to the 5th round. He played well in the first preseason game. He was 14 for 23. Now, it was against the Carolina Panthers, so I'll say that. But 14 for 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, bro. Played great in that first preseason game. Couldn't play in the second one because they had an oblique injury. Now, we're getting to that third preseason game, and this one is really important for Shedeur because he has to show up again. And if he shows up again, he got to be number 2, bro. He has to be. Like, Kenny Pickett is out. We ain't even seen Kenny Pickett play, so clearly he's not playing well enough. Dylan Gabriel showed up pretty good in that second preseason game, although he did have interception that he threw. I don't want to blame it on him completely, but he did throw an interception. So if you got a nitpick, that has to count. So yeah, if Shedeur plays well in his third preseason game, he has to be the backup, bro. And that's the bottom line. Now, say Joe Flacco is stinking up the joint and he ain't playing well or he goes down and gets hurt. Shedeur comes in. Shedeur is playing well, right? Say he's playing well. My question is, if Deshaun Watson comes back this year, or even if it's next year, Shedeur plays well the rest of the season, Deshaun Watson comes back. What do you do with Deshaun, bro? Who you owe $46 million this year? You taking Shedeur out and putting Deshaun Watson in? You almost have to. You almost have to, bro. I'm not paying somebody $46 million to sit on the bench. That don't make sense. So you almost got to bench Shedeur and bring in the guy who just recovered from an Achilles injury. Now Shedeur goes back to being a backup. If he played well all season, like, it's a mess, bro. I don't even know what to make of it, dog. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what they're doing. Do you just cut Deshaun Watson if one of the rookies is playing well? Because now I'm not paying the quarterback as much and I can go do other things. But do you cut him? What do you do with him, bro? Like I said, the Browns got issues at the worst position you can have them at, bro. And there's a ton of money involved because they promised this man, Deshaun Watson, $230 million. Guaranteed, bro. It's a mess. It really is. It really is. And the crazy part is, if you look at their roster, offensively, they got some pieces. Jerry Jeudy played well last season. Isaiah Bond, they drafted from Texas. They got David Njoku, great tight end out there, right? Jerome Ford, running back, played well, been showing up. Was behind Nick Chubb when he got the chance to start. Played well. They drafted Quinshon Judkins, tough runner out of Ohio State. Defensively, Myles Garrett, arguably the best defensive end in the NFL. Denzel Ward, one of the best corners in the NFL. Grant Delpit at safety. Greg Newsome at the other corner. When you look at that team, they have pieces, bro. They really do. They just can't get it together at quarterback, bro. Like, I'm looking at the meme. Y'all seen the meme? They got the Tim Couch jersey on. See, I done knocked my headphones off, man. The Browns done pissed me off. They got the Tim Couch jersey on, then they got the names taped down the thing. Dog, they done had almost 40 quarterbacks, bro. 40 quarterbacks since 1999. It's getting ridiculous. Like, it's bad, bro. 40 quarterbacks, different dudes have started a game for the Browns since Tim Couch in 1999. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. And this is why I say these are two of the toughest divisions in the NFL. The Browns can be 0-10. They go play one of the other teams in the division, the Steelers, the Ravens, or the Bengals. And it'd be the game of the year. Like, nobody gets up for in-division games like the teams in these two divisions, bro. Nobody. When the Browns play the Steelers, when the Browns play the Ravens, when the Browns play the Bengals, 17-14. Like, game come down to the last drive. 24-21. Somebody got to kick a field goal to win. It happens every time. But when they play these teams in the division, you better turn the TV on. I'm telling you right now, bro. So who knows what this season is going to look like for the Browns? Do we ever know, bro? Do we ever know? But Joe Flacco is a starter, and I guess we'll go from there, all right? So, moving on. Pittsburgh Steelers. Here we go. Key additions. DK Metcalf. That was their biggest signing. They signed Aaron Rodgers, who came from the Jets. They traded for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. They sent Minka Fitzpatrick to Miami for those two. They picked up Darius Slay, who came from the Eagles, won the Super Bowl last year. And they picked up Kenneth Gainwell from the Eagles also. Running back, won the Super Bowl last year. Key departures. They lost Justin Fields, who they were trying to keep. Went over to the Jets. They let Najee Harris walk, running back, free agency, and they lost Minka Fitzpatrick, who they traded for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. Tough season last season. It was a roller coaster ride. A lot of ups and downs. They went on a losing streak, won enough games to make the playoffs, got in the playoffs, lost in the first round. Russell Wilson was the starter now. Russell Wilson is out in New York. He's with the Giants. They lost in the first round to the Bills. So, out goes Russell Wilson, in comes Aaron Rodgers, right? And I'm it's so much I can say about this because Aaron Rodgers was with the Jets last year. But Aaron Rodgers is 41. He'll turn 42 during the season. I watched a lot of the Jet games last year, so I know Aaron Rodgers does still have some left in the tank. He does. But the key is Aaron Rodgers, just like Joe Flacco, can't move around like he used to, bro. So, offensive line got to be on point. Aaron Rodgers got to get the ball out of his hand, right? Which he's good at. And the reason I say he has some left in the tank, he completed 63% of his passes last year, threw for 3,897 yards, almost 4,000 yards last season on a bad team, threw for 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, had a 90.5 passer rating, right? Those are great numbers, and when you compare those numbers, that's almost the same numbers as when he won the MVP last. Almost. He had more touchdowns, but almost, bro. So he still has some left in the tank for sure. I think the key for Aaron Rodgers was when he was with the Jets, there's no structure, bro. It was a free-for-all. So now they go into the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin runs a tight ship. So this is gonna be a different Aaron Rodgers. It's not gonna be the Aaron Rodgers that was pushing the coach. It was a mess, bro, but we ain't gonna get into that. So I think you'll see a little bit different Aaron Rodgers, right? But they definitely got some weapons. They brought in DK Metcalf. Still got Pat Freiermuth, the tight end. Love Pat Freiermuth. Sneaky pickup for your fantasy team. Got Calvin Austin in the slot. Calvin Austin proved to be a go ball guy last year, taking the top off the defense out of the slot. So they still got some weapons out there. My question for them, can the O-line keep Aaron Rodgers upright? That's the biggest deal. Because if you give Aaron Rodgers a little bit of time, he can still pick you apart. He still can. So we're going to see how good that O-line is for sure. They got to run the ball because that's just the Steeler way. So they got to run the ball. They're going to run the ball a lot. But like I said, if they give Aaron Rodgers time, he can still pick you apart back there. Defense. Probably the oldest defense in the league, for sure. You got Jalen Ramsey on one corner, Darius Slay on the other corner. And although they may be the oldest, like when you run down the defense, you're like, man, if these dudes stay healthy, they're gonna be tough. But like I said, Jalen Ramsey one side, Darius Slay the other side. TJ Watt got his extension finally. 3 years, $123 million, $108 million guaranteed. My dog got paid. TJ is could argue that he's the best defensive end in the league too, behind Myles Garrett. Or one of the best, I mean. They got Cam Hayward still D tackle. He wants more money. We'll see if they pay him or not. He does have a point too. He does have a point to get paid more. So we'll see how that goes. But if they can stay healthy, that's if. And these guys, we say they're old, but they're in their 30s. But in the NFL, that's ancient. You know what I mean? But if they can stay healthy, if this unit can stay healthy, defense won't be the issue at all. Because as we all know, Mike Tomlin can take peanuts and rusty nails to the playoffs, bro. Like Mike Tomlin I don't know what it is, bro, but them dudes, they believe in him. They listen to what he say. They do what he say. And he hasn't had a losing season. He hasn't had a single one. Like I said, he could take peanuts and rusty nails to the playoffs. He don't win, but they go to the playoffs, bro. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since 2017. 2017, bro. That's a long time, Mike. Long time. And I don't know, but if they don't win a playoff game this year, that seat might get hot. I'm just saying. Because going is one thing, but going ain't enough. It's just not, bro. It's not. And you got to win when you get there. So we'll see. But I really like Mike Tomlin. He's one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, bro. Just because, like, he just know how to get dudes to do what he tell them to do. He's like Dan Campbell, man. Just tough, hard-nosed coaches. Don't take no nonsense. You do it my way, or we ain't doing it at all. So I really like that about him. So if health is the key for the Steelers. If they can keep these old dudes healthy, they'll be a solid squad for sure. Man, I can't wait. NFL season right around. What are you wearing? That old shirt, the one with the letters all faded and peeling, and it's been stretched out in the washing machine? You need some new gear. Click the link in my description, head on over to fanatics.com, and shop all the latest in your team's gear. We don't want to see that old stuff anymore, man. You don't have a lot of time. The NFL season is right around the corner. So click the link in my description, head on over to Fanatics, and get you something new. I can't even see the J on your shirt anymore. We're Jets fans, not ET's fans. Shop Fanatics today. All right, y'all, moving on. We're going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati Bengals, right? The thing about Cincinnati is they had a rough year last year. And it could go the same way, but key additions. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were the biggest things. They re-signed both of them. Jamar Chase got 4 years, $161 million. T. Higgins got 4 years, $115 million. T. Higgins finally got his contract he's been looking for. They got these two dudes signed, right? No big-time departures. They did lose a couple guys, but nothing crazy, right? Biggest thing hanging over the Cincinnati Bengals' heads. Trey Hendrickson. Had 17.5 sacks last year, led the NFL. Also had 17.5 sacks the year before that, so he's done it 2 years in a row, right? He was the lone bright spot on an atrocious defense, right? The only bright spot. And I'm going to tell you how bad this defense was. Joe Burrow in that offense last year averaged 27.8 points, almost 30 points a game. The Bengals finished 9-8 and missed the playoffs. You're averaging almost 30 points a game on offense, and your defense can't hold a team to 28? That's terrible, bro. Like, that's so bad. So you would think that they would be begging Trey Hendrickson to come back. Like, he was the only one that did anything last year. So you think, yo, we're going to sign this dude because we need him bad. And they do. But Bengals ownership, known to be cheap. They're known to be cheap. So who knows what's going to happen? Apparently, he's in camp. He's in the building. So they're supposed to be close. I'm pretty sure that the thing is years because he's 30 years old. I'm sure he wants a 4-year contract like these other guys got. But he's going to be 34 at the end of it. And like I said, in the NFL, that's ancient. So we'll see how that goes. Joe Burrow, as we all know, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Joe Burrow's a dog, man. And the scariest thing, I heard this on TV today. Scariest thing about Joe Burrow is he knows where every guy is going to be at the exact moment they're going to be there. And the reason I know this is because I watched him make a throw when they played the Commanders in their preseason game. Watched him make a throw. And he dropped the ball. He wasn't even looking that way, but he dropped the ball to a guy going across the field in between the corner and the safety. And like in the tightest window, bro. Like Joe Burrow he's just that dude. And like I said, this offense is going to score points. I'm not worried about that at all. With Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Yoshi Voss, who I really like in the slot, they're going to score points. I'm not going to have any problems with that. My two biggest concerns, right? Offensive line. I also watched in the Commanders game, Joe Burrow running for his life. And I'm like, this is the preseason, bro. It shouldn't be this bad already. Like, he's getting slung down to the ground. He's running in circles. I don't like that. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like that. So, offensive line, number one. And number two, the defense. Yo, you have to be better, bro. You got to be better. Defense last year, they averaged 348 yards given up per game. 348 yards, and they gave up 53 touchdowns on the season. They have to be better. And honestly, with the way Joe Burrow and that offense are going to play, you only need mediocre defense. If they have a middle-of-the-road defense, if they sitting at right there like 15 in the league in defense, they're going to make a playoff run, bro. Just because Joe Burrow and that offense is going to be that lethal. So we're not asking you to be top 10 and top 5 in defense. We just need you to be middle of the road. We need one stop. One good stop in the game. You get a ball back to Joe Burrow. I guarantee Joe Burrow going down and win the game. So we'll see. I don't know. Without Trey Henderson, they definitely ain't doing it. So we'll see if he gets signed or not. But like I said, if they can be middle of the road on defense, this team is going to be dangerous. Dangerous, I'm telling you. All right, so moving on. Last team, the Baltimore Ravens. There's only one thing to say about the Baltimore Ravens. They are stacked. They are stacked. All these teams in this division, even the Browns, like I said, you can't sleep on the Browns when they play these in-division games, right? They're nobody to play with in these in-division games. Outside of that, who knows? But the Ravens are stacked. Key addition, Jair Alexander. They added DeAndre Hopkins. And they added Cooper Rush, which this one was kind of weird to me because Cooper Rush is the complete opposite quarterback of of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's super athletic, can throw the ball, can run the ball, all that stuff. Cooper Rush is a pocket passer. So you have that completely changes the offense that you run, but Cooper Rush is the backup now. Key departures, Brandon Stevens, the corner, they lost him to the Jets. And Michael Pierce, who went to Sanford. I went to Sanford too. We didn't go at the same time, but he came from Sanford. Nose tackle, he retired. Right? So, bottom line, it's now or never for Lamar Jackson. This is the best team they've had. I don't know how much better this team can get, to be honest. It's now or never. We know how Lamar Jackson is, how this team is going to be in the regular season. I expect them to win 13, 14 games. Completely expect that, right? But when they get to the playoffs, bro, it's always something. At first, it was Lamar not being Lamar in the playoffs, right? Then, last year, Lamar's Lamar in the playoffs. He's running the ball. He's making the throws. And it comes down to that one throw that was dropped by the tight end and Mark Andrews, bro. And that was just heartbreak. And I made another video where I talked about that too on my page, Sports from the Cave. But heartbreak, bro. And I felt so bad for him, though. I really did. But bottom line is you got to make the plays, bro. Your team got to make the plays at the time that the plays need to be made. So I'm not worried about them in the regular season at all, bro. Not even a tiny bit. They have to have the scariest backfield in the NFL, bro. You sitting back, you on defense, and you staring at Lamar Jackson who can run the ball, throw the ball, do everything. Then you got Derrick Henry standing right next to him, Derrick Henry almost went for 2,000 yards again last year. He had like 1,900 and some change. He's going to go in the first round of a fantasy draft, so be on the lookout for that. But that got to be the scariest backfield in the NFL, bro. Then you added DeAndre Hopkins to the receivers that they already had. Hollywood Brown will be back. Like, it's scary, bro. It really is. It's scary. I love the secondary on defense. Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, who they drafted out of Georgia, great safety. Nate Wiggins and Jair Alexander, bro. They got more than enough talent out back there. Not to mention the linebackers. Love Roquan Smith. Love Kyle Van Noy. They got a great defensive line. Defense not going to be the issue, bro. These dudes going to be tough, and that secondary is crazy. So, they got everything they need. All the pieces is there. Get through the regular season, you get to the playoffs. What you going to do in the playoffs? That's the bottom line. What are you going to do in the playoffs? Because it's always the Bills or the Chiefs. Kryptonite, bro. And mostly the Chiefs. They can't get past the Chiefs. Same way with the Bills, like I talked about in my last video. They cannot get past the Chiefs, bro. So, it's now or never, man. I don't know how much better of a chance you're going to have. Just being real. So, I'm always rooting for Lamar Jackson because he's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. But let's see what they do in the playoffs. This team is stacked. Who wins this division? The Ravens. The Ravens win the division, bro. They're going to win this division. Bottom line. Now, that's not saying that some of these other teams won't make the playoffs. That's not saying that. But the Ravens are going to win this division. Let's just be real. They're going to get a bye. What are you going to do in the playoffs? That's the question. Bottom line. All right, y'all. So you know I got to leave you with my man cave tip of the day, right? And this one, these little things make great decorations for your cave. You see, I got one up right here with the Jets. Got one right here with my Florida Gators. These mini helmets, bro. They look great everywhere. On the desk. I got some on the shelf. I got them on the wall. Bro, perfect Look, you sit it right here. Boom. It's decorated. It's that simple. Perfect decorations for your man cave. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave a link down in my description to go over to Amazon. Get you some of these mini helmets, man. You don't have a lot of time before the season starts. 2 weeks, we got college football, bro. 3 weeks, we got NFL. Go to Amazon. Get you some stuff to decorate your cave. This is the perfect thing to do it with, bro. All right? So, click the link in my description, and you can go on to Amazon and purchase one of these today. Right? So, great episode, man. 2 toughest divisions in the NFL. I'm super excited about the season, bro. I appreciate y'all coming to hang out with me as always. If you stayed to the end, I really, really appreciate you, bro. You can go follow me on all my pages at Sports from the Cave. Like, share, subscribe to the podcast, man. I appreciate all the support. And next week, we got 2 more divisions coming to you, so you don't want to miss it, all right? I appreciate y'all hanging out with me as always. We out.